What is up, R2C Elite? We are back. Episode 2. We are in season 4, week 2 of the R2C Elite Dynasty. We got a show here for you to be able to get this thing started for anyone that is new to my stream or to R2C. R2C is a network of guys that play college football for EA Sports. Uh, we've been playing for quite a while. We got several dynasties that run at the same time. And the way we kind of set it up is kind of like the Premier League in Europe with their way they do soccer is we have some starter leagues where guys that first join the R2C community get into a dynasty, they play, they start the show, do they have what it takes to be able to move up to the next dynasty. So when we start losing guys from those dynasties because they are not doing well and they need to move down, they guys start to move up and be promoted till they get to the top tier dynasty, which is the R2C Elite Dynasty. So I am actually part of the R2C Elite Dynasty. I am actually the Tennessee coach, and this is double coverage with Double D. So just kind of get this thing kicked off here. Some of the things we have on the show today, we're going to go over basically our top 25, where this kind of sits as week 2. We're going to go over some of the games of the week for week 1. Week 0, week 1, and then look at some of the games coming up for this week. And we'll probably do week 2 games and look at the week 3 games and see what we're kind of looking at as far as matchups there. By then, we'll probably be looking at week 3 will probably when we do our next advance. We do usually advance every 3 days. We're going to probably be advancing here in a little bit of a wider gap because of Thanksgiving. So obviously we have people that have families. Most of us are family guys. We're obviously older guys too that's been playing the NCAA for quite a while, and so that's pretty much kind of what we're looking at now. We're going to be advancing probably I would advance next Monday unless we get all games played earlier. So so we'll just go ahead and jump right into the show and kind of get into what we got going on here. So let's see. First things first. Let's see. We'll get this switched over. So, as I said, that I am actually the coach for Tennessee. We, uh, so anyone that didn't get a chance, I know we did the first show was actually in the middle of the playoffs. For anyone that does not know, playoffs went kind of like this: Ole Miss versus Tennessee. Ole Miss was I think the fifth. Actually, they were lower than that. They beat Baylor in the first round. Then had an upset win against Penn State, who was I think running number 4 at the time, either 3 or 4. Upset win against Penn State. They advanced to the semis with where they ended up playing Tennessee. I actually ended up getting a lead early in the game going into the fourth quarter. I was actually on the 5-yard line with a 10-point lead, fixing to score again, and I threw an interception. Next thing you know, he scores. I'm down by 3. I end up turning around and throwing a pick 6 very next play, and then he got up. Total turn of events, and nothing to do credit to him. It was on me. I did not get it taken care of. Hold on just a second, guys. I gotta let the dog in. I'm back. So yeah, big turn of events there. He walked away with the dub. I think it was a 3-point game, and then he advanced to the finals where he played Oklahoma, who beat Virginia Tech in the semis. Oklahoma was the defending champion from season 2, and it was a great game. And Ole Miss came out with the victory. So we'll kind of get into our Elite 8 ranking a little later today, and we'll see where he's kind of moved up. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. So I guess what we're gonna do first is we'll look at our week, our games of the week so far, and kind of just go from there. Um, and so let's see if we can get this all kind of set up. Give me just a second. Do 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 do. There we go. All right. There we are. Game of the weeks We're gonna go ahead and start off. Let me switch this out of studio mode. We'll go ahead and take a first look at week week 1 or week 0, I guess you'd say. So the big game of the week for week 0 was actually my Tennessee Titans, who were currently ranked number 3 at the time, against Penn State, who was ranked number 4, I believe, either 4 or 6. I think they were 6 actually at the time. And we ended up playing a game, definitely a back and forth game. We were playing at Tennessee, and obviously I think that probably had the biggest effect, or the biggest thing on the decision for that game, on how that kind of went, just simply because I know how big home field advantage is. Sometimes it can be, I guess, for any of you guys that are bettors, usually whenever you look at a game, the home team always is given a 3-point swing. So if the away team is picked to win by a field goal, neutral site, they would be picked to win by a 6. So I ended up winning by 3 point, or I'm sorry, about 4 points in that game. And so I think at one point in the fourth quarter, he did get the lead. I ended up getting it back, and forced a deep throw when he was trying to get down the field, and ended up getting an interception. But great game. I like having some of those big, especially the different conference games, or playing against different conferences, like the best of one conference against the best of the other conferences. Kind of like you saw Ohio State and Texas this year. I'm not saying Texas is the best team from the SEC, but some of those two big teams, those teams from different conferences get a chance to play each other early in the season, just to kind of just settle some things there as far as, what conferences are the betters. So that was one of the big things that came out of week 0. The game of the week was Penn State versus Tennessee, and which Tennessee came out on top. Then if we move to week 1, I'm going to say the game of the week for week 1 had to be, now there was lots of good games in this week, but there was only one game, there's a big upset with, I don't really consider it a big upset, simply because I know how good T. Scott is with South Carolina. I've played him plenty of times, and he actually ended up beating in week 1 Oklahoma, which they were playing at home. Were they playing at Oklahoma? Let's see. Where is that game? Yeah, so they're playing at Oklahoma. So South Carolina went into Oklahoma and got a big victory there. Really kind of stifled the offense there in Oklahoma. And that Oklahoma team is a dogs. Like, they have all dogs everywhere. So yeah, that's a really good team. So definitely took care of business. Some of the big changes I said. Now I'm just going to speak for myself, simply because I know what my recruiting class looked like. My big portal pickup was Bryce Underwood from Michigan. Definitely changes kind of my how I play my offense, and now I got a lot more. I'm starting to include, or need to start including back in, a lot of the quarterback runs type stuff to set up. I didn't really use that against Benny in week 1 at all, simply because I didn't have the play set up, but I did actually end up using it against the computer here in week 2. Really looked good. I think he actually had 100 yards rushing and 400 yards passing in that game. Boy, I had to pull him out. So another big upset was Texas Tech over Texas A&M. But by far, I think the big game of the week was Saucy Boy taking over a Notre Dame team. He took Baylor to the playoffs last year. He was one of the new coaches that got basically a promotion, I guess you would say. Whenever Takeoff ended up leaving Notre Dame, Saucy Boy got the offer there to take over Notre Dame from Baylor, and moved in and ended up playing Corey the very first game of the season, or very first in week 1 in Missouri, in which I watched a lot of that game, and I came away thoroughly impressed with Notre Dame's defense, specifically their defense. Some of his coverages were crazy. Like, he did a really good job, in my opinion, on disguising coverages. Like, if you were going in making pre-reads from the very beginning and did not were basically just making, didn't make any post snap reads after you snapped the ball and just went with your initial read from the very beginning. For me personally, I probably would have found myself throwing some interceptions. He did really good as far as disguising his coverages and not showing his cards and just really playing a good game as far as that goes. Now he was playing at home, so that doesn't take into effect a lot what goes on. It makes it hard for the other teams to make changes. Corey is a very good passer. He just I thought there was a couple times he ended up forcing the ball in situations where he didn't really need to. And those turnovers would definitely hurt you. So ended up being a big game, but there was a lot of scandal in the game as well as far as some formation. I would say formation depth chart things going on there, especially at the linebacker position, which has come upon now making sure that there is a clear rule as far as the linebacker depth chart. So for any of y'all don't know, any of you new people, how it works now, and this is a rule, your linebacker number 1 in your depth chart in your nickel packages have to be a linebacker, has to be first. You can have a linebacker second, or linebacker safety second, or a linebacker and safety as your third one. Me personally, I think there's a catch-22 in all this. So it really didn't bother me which way they want to go. Obviously, rules are rules, and whichever way the league decides to go with, that's the way we need to play. So this is my opinion on it. I'm just going to give you mine. I am big on being able to be flexible with my defense. If I have a linebacker and a safety out there, I have no ability to be able to switch defenses. When I say switch defenses, I can audible in that formation itself, but if I want to audible from one package to another, I can't, because you don't have the packages your packages don't line up correctly. So for me personally, I would never really do that. I always end up playing with 2 linebackers on the field at least. When I'm in nickel packages, sometimes I will put a safety in that third, simply because if I don't have a lot of packages that might switch out of that. But yeah, like if you have a linebacker and 2 safeties in there, it's not like you can audible to dime. You can't audible any other nickel formations. So yeah, it makes it really hard to kind of change things. So for me, I personally would not be doing that. Not to mention, it also makes you very susceptible to the run. So obviously, if you can see that, you're catching up to someone who's doing that, you can actually be able to run it. But the rule is now, depth chart wise, you got to have a linebacker as your starting linebacker in your depth chart. Your number 2 linebacker can be a safety or a linebacker. Your third guy can be a safety or a linebacker as well. So, but yeah, I came off really impressed with Notre Dame's defense. He actually has a really hard challenge this week. He's playing another SEC team in Montage. I played Montage plenty of times. If Notre Dame walks away with a W there, I'm sorry, but it might be some GGs for some people, because that would be impressive wins against some 2 quality opponents. I think he actually just first week he played Ohio State, but Ohio State's a computer game. I really don't consider that a challenge most of the time. That's just me. But then I did hear that Florida State took an L today against Texas. But sometimes the computer be getting crazy with the they be just trying to cheat you. So anyway, so Notre Dame big win over Missouri. Our week 2 game. Let's take a look here. I know we have a lot of good matchups. We have Utah against Virginia Tech. We have Indiana. That's Boise. Let's see. We got other years games. Got Cincinnati against Michigan. Michigan came out and they already got a W already. Let's see who else we got here. Oh, another big matchup: Texas Tech and SMU. That should be a good one. Texas Tech just got a big win against A&M. We got already playing Tennessee. Oh, well, Texas. So this is the one. Texas came away with a win against FSU. Texas was ranked 25. Florida State number 7. Playing at Texas, I obviously probably played a big deal on it, but that is a CPU game in that situation. But like I said, CPU sometimes they'd be acting a fool, and you gotta get some crazy stuff together. So yeah, that's what the game of the week is this week. Number 5 Notre Dame against number 3 Auburn at Auburn. This would be, I'm sorry, we got 2 really great games. We also have Ole Miss against Florida, and this would be the champion against Florida at Florida. Yeah, that should be a really good game too. So hopefully we can get a chance to see both these games here over this holidays and everybody. So, there's a bunch of good football going on this week in the real world too. So yeah, so looks like we got a bunch of good games. So if I was I'm gonna go ahead and give my picks here. So like I said, I'm really impressed with Notre Dame's defense and how he's been able to play defense. Uh, I will say Corey did struggle on defense himself and gave up some big plays where I didn't feel like he needed to. Now, and Corey has great user skills as far as his safety, but I did feel like there's some spots where he left guys open that Notre Dame was really, really good at attacking. Uh, so I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna call, and this is not a Nuggets montage because, like I said, nothing respect for the dude. I'm gonna call it. I think Notre Dame is just he right now is very confident with how he's playing. I'm gonna say. Uh, I'm gonna say Saucy Boy beats Montage in a close game. And then we're gonna go down here to Ole Miss and Florida. Um, Florida played great at the beginning of the season last year, but they ended up tailing off at the end. And I don't think they made the playoffs. I think they ended up going on a losing streak at the very end and ended up not making it. So Ole Miss is the natty, is a champion right now. I have to continue to go roll with him until he proves otherwise. So I'm gonna pick Ole Miss to win in Florida, but quite honestly, either of these games can go either way. So I mean, I'm gonna say I don't know about the over under part of it, but I'm gonna give 3 points to Ole Miss. I'm gonna give 3 points to Notre Dame. That's just how close I think it's gonna end up being. Uh, so yep, we're gonna give a couple games there. So those would be our games of the week. So like I said, I think we're gonna get into another um, advance between now and the next show. So let's see who we got on week 3. I know I play A&M this week. But I think A&M might find themselves unranked after these losses. We got another Notre Dame again playing UCLA, another ranked team. Notre Dame's really getting these hard games out of the way here. So if he ends up pulling out a win against Auburn and then turns around and ends up being UCLA, yeah, me and Ole Miss might be looking up at him at the end of the week 3, going into week 4. So I do have Texas A&M. He's coming to Tennessee. See how they use games. Oh, we got Florida against Corey. That should be a good game as well. I'm sure Corey's looking for revenge to get back in the swing of things and prove himself in the SEC. Corey talked crazy at the beginning of the season. Dude's good, and he played off well, but yeah, at the end it just wasn't enough to get it taken care of. Hold on just a second. Hold on. Alright, we got these deliveries going on. I don't know why they're ringing doorbells this late at night. But anyway, I'm gonna go. So this will be our game of the week for week 3. I'm gonna say just simply because I know these guys want to get after it. So Florida and Missouri. Corey's gonna be looking for a chance to win. If Florida ends up losing this week to Ole Miss, I mean obviously he's gonna be looking to get back into the win column as well. So another good game here is going to be at Missouri. I just have faith in Florida to be able to get things done. That's a pick 'em for me, quite honestly. So I just have to see how things go. So that's how we're looking as far as that goes. Let's take a look real quick at our top 25 and see who our biggest who's kind of jumped up the most and who's kind of taken a drop. So obviously the big guy that really took a big step up, Florida jumped up 3 spots, but Notre Dame from 15 to 5. He jumped up 10 spots. Cody, I ain't worried about no A&M. I mean, I ain't worried about A&M. They're my boys. I mean, Aggies are my team, but still. You got to come into Knoxville, brother. It ain't happening. Oregon took a little bit of a jump up. He took a jump up 3 spots. So we got a couple of guys that are moving up. Florida just lost. They're going to end up taking a shot at that. South Carolina, big jump here. Not surprised at all. T. Scott's a great user. I've always played good games. I think actually, if I got to look at my schedule, I think I play T. Scott. I do play T. Scott. I know for a fact we play each other. I think I play at his place this time. I'll take a look at that. But yeah, he jumped up from 21 to 8. Great move there. A lot of the guys kind of stayed really close to where they're at already. UCLA, Virginia Tech tumbled. I think he started off at 8. Yeah, he started off at 8. He's down to 15 now. But he did get a win against Iowa. So that should help him out. Let's see. You got any other big? Cincinnati jumped up. And then I think Cincinnati also lost. Oh, he lost to Michigan today. So we looked at that earlier. Lost Texas Tech. That's what hurt Cody. So Cody obviously would be looking to try to get himself back in the win column and also next week. So we'll see how this goes. So yeah, so those are already kind of our biggest jumpers. The guys have jumped up, and the guys have kind of fallen off a little bit there. Um, so let's see what we got next on the agenda. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think we're going good there. Okay. So I do want to change this up. There we go. Okay. So yeah, big games this week coming up. We got two really great games this week, so that would be good to be able to kind of see where we look at whenever we get those games played. I definitely am going to try to tune into both of those games. Starters of both SEC games, so I definitely want to check those out competition wise because I have every aspect to win and go back to an SEC championship game. So let's see, what do we have next here? All right, so next we have our Elite 8 power rankings. Let's see. It's not going to work how I want to. There we go. Yeah, our Elite 8 power rankings. There we go. All right. So, just kind of give y'all a heads up. Oklahoma was number one. So I had a preseason one set up, and then we advanced last night, so I had to update everything today. Cliff and Ole Miss is number one. They were number one at the beginning of the season, number one now. They won the national championship. He's been always very consistent. I think he's probably made the playoffs. I think every year. He might not have made it year two. I definitely know he made it year one. But Ole Miss is number two on the power rankings right now. We have Tennessee is number two at the moment. They were number three. They just moved up to number two. Simply, and we're currently ranked number one as well. Just consistency wise, that's where we're kind of sitting at, and I've gotten a lot of feedback. That's where they feel like they need to be at too. Obviously, this is everyone's up for. Take off that list will be changing. Actually, it will be changing weekly already. Uh, then the big jump is Saucy Boy. Saucy Boy is brand new to the list. Just after big wins against, his first big wins of the season already against Ohio State. Then also a big win against against Corey. And then, I mean, quite honestly, this is probably going to change right now. I mean, this obviously is going to change right here. Saucy Boy wins against Montage. He's probably jumping Tennessee. That's just plain and simple. But Montage wins, that moves Montage up. Saucy Boy moves down and has to show that he still can compete with some of the really big dogs. Corey's good user, but Missouri is Missouri. They're not the Auburns. They're not the the Oklahomas. They're not the Penn States. And the Ohio State's Ohio State, but not a user game. So I'm really not going to include that. They're not the Tennessees. They're not the Floridas. Got to consistently show he can compete and win against those guys. And in which, right now he's looking like he can. So we'll see how that goes, right? Yeah, FSU is going to be off the list. That can't be using a CPU game to Texas. Just can't do it. So I definitely see Viat coming off the list. Now, will he be back on the list? Probably so. I would honestly probably say right now, if I was like to choose right now, I'm putting T. Scott up there. T. Scott's going to be working his way in there. He just beat out Oklahoma. So that's a big change in it. Then we got Montage holding down the 4 spot. Switzer at Oklahoma at number 5. Benny at Penn State. Benny I think was at 4 before, and he dropped down after the game against Tennessee. But like I said, nothing like respect for that. Then we got 2 ACC teams with Yak and Night Owls. I actually had Earl on here, but then Earl's been stumbling at the beginning of the season. So he took a loss at the beginning of the year to Cincy. Is that who did he play? He played someone at the beginning of the year and took a now. So I had to move him off the list. Then we got Night Owls. Night Owls that dude is very consistent. Like, very consistent. And quite honestly, he probably deserves to be a little bit higher simply because I know he plays users regularly and he's he's been in the playoffs every year with SMU. So that's pretty impressive. So yeah, this is our new Elite 8 for after going in the week 2. But yeah, this list will definitely be changing regularly. So this is our internal list. So and I've been using some analytics and some AI to kind of help me kind of decide on where these lists should change and where they should go. So I'll give you some rundowns of what I got here. So Ole Miss and Coach Cliff is the reigning champions. They stay at number 1 after this, what their preseason was. Cliff's program proved it could win the biggest games, knocking off Tennessee in the semifinals last year and Oklahoma in the championships. Until someone dethrones them, Ole Miss owns the top spot with a championship pedigree and complete roster. So yeah, so as long as Cliff keeps winning, I don't care who he can play a bunch of FCS teams. I don't care. He's number 1 until someone can knock him off. And number 2, we got Double D and the Tennessee Vols. The Vols jump up to number 2 after a statement Week 0 victory over Penn State. Despite the playoff semifinal loss to Ole Miss, Tennessee has proven they can beat elite competition. Double D's explosive offense and championship level roster makes them the biggest threat to Ole Miss' throne. Which unfortunately, I do not play Ole Miss during the regular season. So hopefully, I am going to be seeing him in a SEC championship game. If not, then, I mean, quite honestly, if he makes the playoffs, he probably doesn't even care if he wins the SEC championship. That's my goal simply because it makes sure I am actually in the playoffs because I missed the first 2 playoffs by, quite honestly, I had losses against good users and never had any quality wins at the end of the season to be able to kind of bump me back up into the top group. So, at number 3, we have Saucy Boy and Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish crash into the top 3 after surging from the preseason's number 15 to number 5 in the current rankings. Dominant wins over number 4 Ohio State and number 18 Missouri prove the program has arrived. After taking Baylor to the CFP last year and now dismantling top competition, Notre Dame is no longer a surprise. They're a powerhouse. At number 4, we got Montage and Auburn. Auburn slips 1 spot but remains elite. Montage's defensive mastery and disciplinary program keeps them in a championship contention. The playoff breakthrough is coming. It's a matter of when, not if. And then we have Oklahoma and Switzer. The Sooners dropped from number 2 after a Week 1 loss to South Carolina raises concerns. Despite the championship game appearance last season, losing to an unranked opponent in the season opener is troubling. The talent is still there, but the Week 1 stumble cost them these rankings. They need to stabilize quickly. And quite honestly, I don't know if T. Scott was not ranked at the beginning of the season. So that I'm not really even 100% sure if he was or not. At number 6, we got Benny and Penn State. Penn State falls after the Week 0 loss to Tennessee. The roster remains loaded, but consecutive seasons without a breakthrough moment are piling up. Benny needs to convert elite talent into postseason success, and early season losses to top competition isn't going to help his cause. At number 7, we got Yak. Florida State holds steady as a dangerous balanced program with recruiting momentum building and consistent development. They're knocking on the door of the elite terrier. They need to they need a marquee moment to break through. Unfortunately, not only did they not get the marquee moments, they did not capitalize at all, and they're going to end up finding themselves falling out there. So we got Yak there. But Yak's definitely not going to be in the top 8 here anymore. He will be falling out. So who is going to be the new person? We'll have to see. At number 8, we got Night Knowles. SMU stays at number 8 with their strong foundation intact. The Mustangs continue to outperform expectations, though the gap in recruiting and depth keeps them just outside the true elite. Their head-to-head wins over Oklahoma looks even better now. So that's our Elite 8. We do have a couple of people that are knocking on the door. We got Fern, who was at 8 and was actually dropped down simply because Saucy Boy jumped up, and we just everyone got kind of bumped down and moved around. But Fern's still in there with North Carolina State. We got Fant still with Oregon. And then I have on my list for the next ones coming in there is T. Scott. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now as far as our Elite 8 power rankings as we sit today at the end of going into week 2. So I don't have anything for recruiting yet, simply because there's literally been only like 6 or 7 recruits signed so far, period, over everybody's roster. So I do have the ticker updated with the recruiting standings as of now. It says top 10. There ain't 10 teams on there yet. So don't start that 6-7 crap. Don't even do it. Don't start it, Benny. So yeah, so I don't really have a whole lot with when it comes to the recruiting part for this week. Hopefully, obviously, when we come back in, we'll begin in week 3, week 4, start having people getting in here and start getting some recruits coming in. I know for me personally, I can talk about my recruiting board. I am definitely looking at, let's get this kind of set up here. Set up some, this is one of the sucky things about, oh, yeah, that's what I didn't want that really. Sorry. What happened to that part of it? Something is missing. Ah, here we go. There we go. All right, let's get this switched over. There we go. Perfect. So yeah, so far as recruiting for me at Tennessee right now, my biggest concern is linebacker and quarterback. Uh, I have tons of depth at quarterback, but hey, I represent my grunt style stuff, so I'm actually gonna try to see if I can get them for a sponsor. So we're gonna see how this goes. Get some free gear out of it. So, but hey, I will take it. I will take me a shirt. I represent. Give me some sponsors in here. We'll start spending some sponsors. I ain't got no problem. I will sell out in a heartbeat. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, it would be great for us to be able to get some sponsors in here and get some things taken care of. That'd be sweet. So yeah, so for me personally, recruiting wise, my biggest needs are going to be quarterback and linebacker, simply because I just don't have very much linebacker to begin with. I got tons of depth at a lot of other positions. Actually, I have 3 senior wide receivers playing this year, and then I have 3 sophomores and juniors that are this year. They're going to play next year. That are just going to basically just plug right back in. So yeah, so I like my depth. I really like my depth. Getting Bryce Underwood was huge, as far as just kind of changing up how I'm doing. But I definitely need to get someone I can build around. I do get Merkel for 1 more year, which is going to be really huge for me. So I just need to go ahead and just kind of, I want to get someone in there that I can at least build on as a freshman and get there. So I got a bunch of guys on my board that are quarterbacks. So we'll see how that goes. So real quick, so if y'all have questions, anything at all, just my thoughts, my feelings, how I play the game in certain ways, what I look for, anything that you're just asking for suggestion wise. Like I said, I don't know everything, but I do know ball, and that's pretty much like I try to incorporate as much of my football knowledge as I can into this game to try to make it as sim as possible. So, so you have any questions about, hey, how do I attack cover 3, cover 2, cover 4, quarters, match, man to man? I know man to man, usually for me every single year, is usually the one thing I try to figure out right off the back on how do I attack man to man in this game, because usually people start getting to the default sort of attack of using man to man quite a bit, especially cover 0, because that's like, hey, I need to get pressure on the quarterback or get pressure on someone. I want to send a 0 blitz. That's like one of the things I try to figure out. How do I pick up 0 blitzes on a regular basis and still be able to attack downfield? So, so we're gonna switch on over here. Let me get it set up. Where are you at? Here we go. Bam. There we go. So we have the Twitch channel up. We are take some questions. Anyone have any questions for me right now before we kind of close this up? It is a shorter segment or shorter episode this week, simply because, like I said, I don't have anything for recruiting, and we just got a couple of weeks ago. I do plan on incorporating a lot more. I want to get, I do want to get some more, like go over more highlight stuff. And so I know Earl's been really good about getting some highlight film that he wants to get, to try to get in there and incorporate that. just it takes a lot of extra work, quite honestly, for me to do it sometimes. And right now, for me, for work wise, this is like busiest time of the season for us, so it's like a little bit harder for me to go though. Does Texas A&M beat Texas? Absolutely. I am. I have no doubt that's going to be happening. Um, my wife's an Aggie, and so we actually went out to the Mississippi State game this year. My son um, has a Reed jersey, so we are definitely, most of my families are Aggies too. So, um, so bet. Wait, they're not losing. No, there's no way. So just we're gonna talk ball. This is something else I would like to kind of do a little bit more too, and just get guys in here talking ball about stuff. Um, so I am not a Sark fan. I think he's overrated. I know everyone talks about he's a quarterback guru and this and that. I just don't see it. I just don't. It's just, and that's not saying anything. I mean, is Arch maybe a little bit over his head and a little bit overrated? Yes, he had Quentin Ewers there. I just not. I'm not a big fan of his. I just, I don't think this year he hasn't been around the ball as much as he should be. I just don't think. Yeah, I agree. I don't think he can adjust his. I just don't. I think he's terrible at in-game adjustments. And I hear people talk about it all the time. All the announcers and all the commentators around there go like, Shark is great at in-game adjustments, and I do not see it. Some of his stuff is really good, but it's like it takes him a while to get things, kind of get things going. Um, so yeah, it's just with all the talent they have there and being able to recruit in Texas, it's just not very impressive. And like I said, I've been extremely like on the flip side. So let's talk about Texas A&M. When Texas A&M hired Elko after the Jimbo Fisher fiasco, I was like, Elko is obviously probably was not their number one choice. He was probably, third or fourth down the line. I have been completely and totally impressed with Elko. Just everything he's brought on here, and just seeing how Reed has kind of evolved from last year, where he was just like his legs. It was either he was getting things done with his legs or it wasn't happening. Just seeing how he's kind of evolved is just been like like I said, an Aggie. And if any of you guys are YouTube guys, and if y'all watch SEC shorts, see how they always talk about Aggie battered Aggie syndrome, which is freaking awesome because it's like right there. Yeah, he did. And see, that's it. He had the Duke team going, but it's like, it's Duke. And it's Duke. So, you take A&M, and I guess it's the Aggie Batter syndrome. We had Jimbo Fisher. Could never ever see him go. We had someone. This was the other thing, too, I had problems with someone. Someone's offense became so much about not, just didn't seem to revolve. And I love the air raid system. I mean, it's kind of like what I like to run right now in college football as much as possible, is when it comes to my passing concepts, is the air raid stuff. But it was just like, it just didn't seem like he was able to evolve the offense either there. So, kind of like the whole Sark thing, guys they've gotten there. I thought whenever Herman went there from U of H and went to Texas, I thought that was going to be a great fix. I mean, Herman had the Ohio State offensive coordinator position where they ran the ball a lot. I thought he was going to take the Texans to be able to do something, and so wasn't able to do it. So it's like, it's hard to kind of pick those people to be able to find out which, So like I said, I love Elko. I think he's a great fit there. Thought it was hilarious that, after they announced that he signed the extension last week, he ends up, A&M's came out super freaking flat against South Carolina. So let's talk about, I don't know if anyone else saw the South Carolina game, so let's talk about that since I got some time. So obviously Reed had a bad game in that one, but I think a lot of it also had to do with the fact his wide receivers were dropping freaking everything. So it was a combination of he wasn't very accurate sometimes, and then when he was accurate, passers were getting dropped. I think it was just a snowball effect for him. But then when they came out in that second half and they freaking lit it up, like it was like it's go time, and they were pretty much back in control before the end of the third quarter almost. I had nothing. I mean, So that that's that flip side of talking about Reed is, do you look at the first half of Reed's game and say, okay, this knocks him out of Heisman contention because of the first half and how bad he was? Or do you look at it like, he was this bad in the first half and look how he just flipped the switch and was able to get them back into it and win that game? That to me, I think is even more impressive. On that, and me impresses me more as being a Heisman Trophy candidate than the fact that he played so bad in the first half. Because I mean that's the first half of football, and second half, completely different story. So yeah, I thought that was a unbelievable game. My wife was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I was like, all right, listen, I'm gonna go and do some work. I'm gonna turn the game and watch it on my phone, and then I'm sitting there yelling at what's going on in the game as we're going on here. So by in the third quarter, I'm out there. I got the game back on the TV and telling my wife, like, for a little while there, she went and started watching the game in the bedroom. And I was like, whatever you do, get out of the bedroom, come and watch the game in here. We're not watching it. This is bad luck. We're not doing that anymore. I'm a big advocate of, hey, people don't, when things start going good, don't move from wherever someone's sitting. You don't get up from there. If you went and did something different, whatever you're doing, you got to keep it the same. So, but yeah, that was a big, huge game for A&M getting where they are right now. And like I said, it's just, I'm also a Texans fan. So being able to see very many championships is never good. So getting a chance to have these opportunities to be able to see some really, get some wins and maybe even have a chance at a championship is unbelievably bittersweet. So, yeah, anybody else have anything y'all want to talk about real quick before we kind of close this up and wrap it up? I'll give y'all a few more minutes. I do appreciate all you guys coming out here and showing support. Oh yeah, let's talk about Colorado. So Turcoff has taken over Colorado. They have really kind of flipped it around. They are looking good. I mean, he had, I wouldn't say his struggles. Notre Dame job did not go as well as we were hoping for. It's kind of like I'll give it an A&M example. Jimbo Fisher, when he came in, had some big wins, couldn't get over the hump, did not get what they were hoping to get out of it. In the end, Notre Dame decided it was time to make a change. Jacob decided it was time to make a change and go to Colorado. It looks like it's working out for both teams now. I mean, both people seem like both schools should be happy where they're at. Notre Dame looks like they're actually getting some wins and kind of stacking up some quality wins here. And Colorado looks like they're getting it back online and getting it done. I actually grew up when, I'm a 90s kid. So I actually grew up with, Rashawn Salam and Cordell Stewart. I used to love Colorado and how they played there. Actually, at one point, looking back, going to Boulder myself because I had family that lived out there and going to University of Colorado after I got the Marine Corps. And that ended up happening and coming back home just doing stuff here. But yeah, I actually really loved it. At that time, so like me and Cass, great friends. I ain't gonna lie, I freaking lost my crap whenever Colorado beat Michigan in the big house at that point. Michigan was a freaking super powerhouse at that point, and Colorado being able to go in there and win to get that W was crazy. Okay, now Takeoff's been doing drugs tonight. Hey, stay off the hard stuff. Let's slow it down a little bit here. 3 seasons, huh? All right, I'm gonna take the screenshot. And we're gonna see how we're looking here in 3 seasons. We gotta take baby steps. First, we'll go for making the playoffs or making a run at the Big 12 championship, and then we'll go from there. Let's just do baby steps. Anybody else got anything? Okay, we gotta go here. Talk is cheap. That's all we got, I think, at the moment. All right, guys. Well, hey, yeah. So trying to get this up a little more. It's holiday time, so I know everyone's really a little busy. I am too myself. So hopefully everybody enjoyed the show. I will get this over to you, take off here pretty soon to get uploaded to the YouTube channel. And hopefully you guys can make it out next week. Hopefully I should be able to do it on Tuesday. I don't think I have anything planned. It's funny, I asked the wife, I was like, hey, I'm going to start doing the podcast for the show, but Tuesdays and Wednesdays work better. she's like, well, with everything that goes on in the family and everything else, probably Tuesday night. So of course, the very first Tuesday that we have after we do the first podcast, she's like, hey, let's go do some stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, well, great. Now I got to push this thing around. So I am going to try to consistently try to make it on Tuesdays. Things are going to happen sometimes where I can't. So like I said, the holidays will be a little bit harder. But yeah, we're definitely going to try to do this a little bit more. And I like to try to get some people on just to talk, talk about how they. I really would like to talk more with guys and coaches about how they look at the game. How do they progress through reads? What are they looking for? Just things that people learn more about the game and just how they kind of look at stuff. Um, how is their defensive philosophy? How's their offensive philosophy? So, for me, it's defense is a struggle sometimes on this game simply because I can't do everything. I can't be everywhere on the field at the same time. And so, like for me, I know a lot of people are really good at switch sticking stuff. I can't switch stick for my freaking life. It's just a lot of the other features I figured out in the game really well. Switch sticking is one of those things I just have not gotten into. That's one thing I want to get better at. Is probably doing the switch stick when it comes to the game on defense. But I've always been kind of an offensive guy anyway. Just my mind just works that way. It's just how can I be as creative on offense as possible? How can I be as unpredictable as I can on possible as I can? How can I be as balanced as I can? So like when I get in situations when I see that I'm not running the ball very much, it starts to really get me frustrated. Like the game against Penn State, I couldn't run the ball. Okay, well now I'm feeling like, okay, I got to figure out how I want to run the ball consistently. If not, I'm going to be in some trouble when I need to. So some of the changes I've made to my offense as far as doing that, I hopefully it'll be helpful. So we'll see how it goes. I'm getting more back into my spread stuff, so we'll see how that goes. But all right, guys. Well, I will wrap it up. Episode 2 in the books. We will try to have this again going next Tuesday. Anybody interested in being on the show? So let me know. We can set it up really easy. You can use your phone if you want to as a camera, or you can just call in and we'll just take your picture and put it up there. And you can just call in and we'll just talk. Talk a little ball, talk about what's going on, talk about some games that are coming up, who you're looking forward to, what you got going on. Talk about your team, just talk about what you do. So yeah, that's all I got, guys. Well, I hope you have a good night. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Do whatever makes you happy out there, and we will see y'all in a week. Double coverage and double D. We are out. Y'all have a good one.